Let's start with this week's Parsha. The law of finding a lost item. This is where we're going to start. We're not going to end there, or we're going to end there on the Kabbalistic terms.
We talked about that today, actually. The guy stand up in the big
That's right.
stone.
Yeah, everything is divine providence.
Yeah.
Source number 1. So it says, לא תראו את שור אחיך או את שיו נידחים. Do not watch the bull of your brother or his sheep running away, והתעלמת מהם. And you should just ignore them. השב תשיבם לאחיך. You have to return them to your brothers. So if you go around, you have a flight to catch. You go up 6 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you see your neighbor's dog running around. You can't just say, look, I have a flight. You have a responsibility. Make sure that the dog is okay. So it says, what happens? ואם לא קרוב אחיך אליך, you're in a strange place. You know that the sheep belongs to somebody who's far away. ולא ידעתו, or you don't know the person. You don't know who it belongs to. ואספתו אל תוך ביתך, you should collect it into your house. והיה עמך דראש אחיך אותו והשיבות לו. It should be with you until your brother gives you signs, and then you return it. כן תעשה לחמורו. So what you should do to his donkey. כן תעשה לשמלתו, to his dress. כן תעשה לכל עבודת אחיך, whatever he lost. אשר תאבד ממנו ומצאת, anything that was lost from him and you found it, לא תוכל להתעלם. You cannot just ignore it. You have to take steps to return it to him. Okay. This is, by the way, right now all the yeshivas are back. Just now, on Monday, all the yeshivas all over New York started their cycle again. And when you start learning in yeshiva, this is the first things you learn about. Specifically, from Talmud Baba Metzia, this is one of the first things that you learn in yeshiva. So we're going to learn about it both physically and spiritually. A simple halacha. So because of the previous things that says in the Torah, now we're going to learn it in the Gemara. So it says like this. שניים אוחזים בטלית. 2 people are walking around and they see a talit. Now, obviously we're talking about over here a garment that there cannot be signs for. Usually in many garments you can have a sign. It's torn over here, it's not torn over here. It looks like over here you have a new garment, a new talit. A new talit, you cannot give signs because all the talitim are exactly the same. So even if the guy comes and he cannot give a sign, right? You say it's talit, anybody can come and say a talit. There's 100 talitim like this.
The only thing you can do is size. It's small or large.
Yeah, but it's a manufactured talit. There's hundreds of them. They manufactured hundreds of them. There's no way. It's not enough. You don't have enough of a proof that it's yours. Yeah. So therefore, they both grab it. Why do they both grab it? They both want it for their own. It says, since there cannot be any signs on this talit, I want it. And the other one grabs it also. It says, I want it. So 2 people are coming to court this way. They're both holding a talis. זה אומר אני מצאתיה. This one says in court, I found it. וזה אומר אני מצאתיה. And the other one says, I found it. זה אומר כולה שלי. The first one says, I grabbed it first. It's mine. The one who grabs first, it's his. וזה אומר כולה שלי. It says, no. I grabbed it first. It's mine. So what's the solution? Solution is like this. זה יישבע שאין לו בה פחות מחציה. So the one side has to make an oath. And we're going to talk about oath soon. An oath is not like today where people take oath. We'll see soon what it means. זה יישבע שאין לו פחות מחציה. This one is going to make an oath that he has no less than half. וזה יישבע שאין לו פחות מחציה. And this one has to make the same oath. I have no less than half. For sure, half or more. That's the oath. And then what do they do? ויחלוקו. You sell the talis and you divide the money. That's what it is. or one wants to give the other one the value, and they agree, whatever the case is. Okay.
But they own 50-50.
They own 50-50 because you can. No one. It's he said, she said. He said, she said. There's nothing you can do. But let's learn something about the oath. People think that people just gives oath left and right, but people did not like to give an oath, and we're going to see soon why. Shvuat dayanim. When you make an oath in court, what does it mean? What is the details of making an oath? Kachi. This is the way it was done. Hanishba ochez sefer Torah. The one who makes an oath holds a Torah book, bizru'o, in his hand, vehu omed. So he holds up the Torah and he stands up. Venishma beshem o bekinui beshvu'a u be'ala. And he either says God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, he says God's Shin Dalid Yud, or whatever, something that pertains that for sure he means God. Kegon sheyomar hareini nishba b'Hashem Elokei Israel. For example, he says, I'm making an oath in the name of the God of Israel. She'eni chayav leze klum, that I don't owe this guy a thing. We're on page number 2. וכיצד מאיימים על הנשבע? But it says, you don't just make an oath. It's not just, hey, come, take an oath. No. Before he takes an oath, we warn him. There's a prerequisite warning. What's the warning? הווה יודע, it says, you should know, שכל העולם כולו נזדעזע, you should know that the entire world trembled, בשעה שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, the time that God told to Moshe, לא תישא את שם השם אלוקיך לשווא. Do not say God's name in vain. It says, this is not just an oath. Are you 100% sure what you're going to say now? I know that for example, every time you argued with your wife, think about it. Every time you argued with your wife, and you say the argument to her, did you believe the argument 100%? Would you make an oath on the Sefer Torah that this is exactly what you mean? No. Because you always have a tilt. You always have a bend. You always have, you put something extra. Yeah. But over here they're telling him, remember, you're saying God's name in vain. This is what you say. I know you want to say your viewpoint. But make sure when you say your viewpoint, it is exactly your viewpoint. Don't start... And then they continue and tell him, that's not enough. You should know, every sin that you have done until this day, it's possible to erase. You can erase it. There's a way you can do tshuva. But over here, when you take God's name in vain, God himself says, Lo yenake, you can never erase it. No tshuva for you. Remember, there's no tshuva over here. Once you lie over here, on the Torah, that's it, it's done. It says every other sin you'll have to pay for. If you didn't do tshuva on any other sin, you'll have to pay. Or even if you do tshuva, sometimes you have to pay. But over here, we have something else. Not only you're going to pay, something that's never heard in the Torah. Your son is going to pay. Your daughter is going to pay. Your wife is going to pay. Your whole family is going to pay. For generations. V'chan mimeno u'mishpachto. It says for here for the whole generations. Why? Because the whole family is one unit. We're going to take the whole family and curse the whole family. That's what God says. So I'll give you a practical example from today, this day and age. This is Rabbi Shem Tov's father, Alav Shalom, if you remember, he passed away many, many years ago. He was a businessman. There was one case where it was a lot of money. I don't know exactly how, 100,000, 200,000, I don't know what it is. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. They went to Jewish court. Yeah? And in Jewish court, he said, the other guy said, both religious people. So they told Mendel, look, make an oath, and the money is yours. He wouldn't make an oath. Yeah? Not because he was, he said, I can't make it. How do I know 100% that the way I perceive the thing is exactly the way it is? Maybe it's not. I can tell you how I perceive it. Yeah? But to make an oath that this is exactly how it happened, I'm not willing. And he lost all the money. And he says today, the money is mine. He knows. That money is mine, but he wouldn't make an oath. Just to show you how difficult is it to make an oath. Velod, it says not only that, they tell him, they continue with what's the problem of making a false oath? גורם להיפרע משונאיהם של ישראל, שכל ישראל ערבים זה בזה. And it says it gives powers to the other nation. Why? Because every Jew is responsible to another Jew. And you are over here weakening the entire judiciary system of the Jewish people. You think you're only affecting yourself. Not only you're affecting yourself, you're affecting your entire family. And against the other nations, you affect the entire Jewish nation. ועניין האיום הזה כולו בלשון שמכירים אומרים להם. And you don't say it in Aramaic or in a language the guy doesn't understand. If he doesn't understand Hebrew, you stay to him in English. So you understand what's going on. כדי שידבינו בדברים ויחזור החוטא לא מוטב. So that he understands it and he's going to think 5 times before saying an oath that he doesn't mean. Okay. So over here, this is the simple explanation of the Mishnah.
The commandment of not using God's name in vain, were you saying that also means to speak with integrity?
That's right. That's right. Because when you are in a court of law and you make an oath, that's the integrity. But even without God, when you say something, it says, do not lie. It's a lie if you say something wrong. So when you argue with your wife, when everybody argues with his wife, this is something that you should know, and you say your viewpoint and you know you're not exactly correct, this is a prohibition against the Torah. It says, do not lie. And people do lie, unfortunately. I'm not taking me out of the thing. Everybody lies. Yeah? Okay. But we're going to learn it now according to Kabbalistic ideas. What is this Mishnah talking about in Kabbalah? See, also in heaven, they learn this Mishnah. Right now, the Neshamas in heaven are learning this Mishnah. The only problem, the Neshamas in heaven don't have a talis. So how do they learn it? They don't know what a talis is. They've never seen one. They don't know that it exists. Maybe the Neshamas that came down here once remember, have some kind of memory, but let's say they don't. Or let's say they never came down yet. So you have no idea what a talis is. Nor do they know what money is, to split the money and so on and so forth. So how do they learn this? Okay. ונציג כל הסוגיה העניינה בחיי הנפש של איש ישראל. We're going to explain this entire topic on a deeper meaning. הנה, כמו שיש טלית ולבוש בחיי גוף האדם, just like there are garments in the life of a person, דוגמתה נמצא גם בחיים הרוחניים של כל אחד ואחד. There are garments in the physical life of each and every one of us. Spiritual lives in each and every one of us. ובפרט הם תורה ומצוות שמקיים. And specifically, there are Torah and mitzvahs. ושכרם כמו שיתבר לקמן. And the reward is going to be like we're going to explain as follows. משנתנו דנה דין שניים. Our Mishnah is talking about 2. שאוחזים בעניין אחד של תורה ומצווה. They both hold the same mitzvah. 2 souls go up to heaven, and the 2 souls says, this mitzvah is mine. Each one is screaming, that mitzvah, I want the reward for it. And the other soul says, that mitzvah, I want the reward. Just to make this clear, because a lot of people have a misconception of what we're talking about here. See, in the physical world, many times when you argue with somebody about an object, in the end, you're going to say, you know what, forget about it. I don't want anything. Take the whole thing. Leave me alone. You know, many times. Yeah, I want to say, like, who cares about it? You want it. You want to lie. You want to cheat. You want, here, take. Leave me alone. Yeah. In spirituality, you would never do it. And I'll give you an example. If I tell you tomorrow, you can, or a prophet, I tell the prophet, I'll take away your prophecy, I'll give it to another Jew. Do you mind? What would you say?
Probably you wouldn't want to do it.
Why? It's nice. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself. Why don't share? Because he's not missing an object. He's missing a connection to God. A connection to God, we don't give up. It's not something that we give up. A Jew doesn't give up a connection to God. Yeah? If tomorrow you are born, right, as King David's son, that's what you're born as. You imagine you're born as King David's son, and he teaches you, and he's there. And then somebody comes, you love another Jew. Yeah, go change with him. So that's my father. What do you mean go change with him? I'm God's son. I'm not changing with nobody. I don't care who it is. I'll help anybody you want. I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. But I'm not. This is who I am. I'm a Jew. Tomorrow somebody's going to tell you, you know what? You don't like non-Jews? Why don't you exchange your Jewish soul with a non-Jew? Yeah? Let's say you would have the ability to. A person would never do it. Or exchange your wife. You know, somebody found a beautiful wife. Everything just matches exactly what he wanted. And somebody says, you love your friend. She's such a good thing. Give her to him. Why are you taking her? See, in spirituality, when it comes to spiritual matters, there's no such thing as I don't want it. Or I'll tell you tomorrow, you have a chance tomorrow to meet King David. Or Eliyahu is going to come to you tomorrow. You're going to have a conversation with him. Okay, I'll give it away to the guy next to me. No. I'll help the guy next to me. I'll try to bring him along, but I'm not going to give my seat away. Okay? So this is two people, שאוחזים בעניין אחד של תורה ומצווה. They're holding in one mitzvah. היינו, שיש מקום לומר שנעשה דבר זה על ידי השתתפות שניהם יחדיו. That some people are going to tell you, hey, they both did the mitzvah together, but each one of them thinks, no, I did the mitzvah. And the other guy thinks, no. He thinks he did the mitzvah, but actually I did the mitzvah. אבל כל אחד מהם טוען ששייך רק לו בלבד. Each one of them thinks 100%, it's me, nothing to do with him. I did it. Without me, the mitzvah would never get done. הוא מבאר את המשנה באיזה עניין מצויה ביותר מחלוקת כזו בטלית. The Mishnah is going to explain, where do we have such a case? We have such a case when you're talking about a garment, a talit. היינו, בעניין של תורה ומצוות ושכרן. We're talking about Torah, commandments and the rewards. שתפקידו בחיים הרוחניים של האדם, garments in the spiritual life of a person, כתפקיד הלבוש בחיים הגשמיים של האדם. It's just like the garment in the physical life of a person. What is garments? מצווס. דהינה צרכי האדם ההכרחיים נחלקים בכלל שני סוגים. Our needs are divided into two parts. מזון ולבוש, food and clothing. That's what we need. That's what every human being needs, food and clothing. And also the soul, it needs two things, as we're going to see. It needs food and clothing. And when it comes to spiritual food and clothing, he doesn't come. There's no such thing as I love him more than I love me. No. Food and clothing is life. There's a halacha that if two people are walking in the desert and they figure out that there's only one keton, one cup of water left, and they know if they both drink, they both die. Right? It says, and you have the cup in your hand, in Jewish law, you're not allowed to give it to him. You're not allowed to. Why? Because you're killing yourself. Who says he is better than you? That's Jewish law. You agree with or not? That's the Jewish law.
I had a problem with this forever.
Okay.
Because you take Hashem out of the equation. If I drink, he dies. And Hashem can send a helicopter to
So I'll explain it in there. You don't take Hashem out of the equation. The one who holds the cup is the one Hashem wants to live. Okay? But that's what the government. Son is something else. You're right. Son can be something else. Son is yourself. A son and you are the same thing. We discussed it some other times. It actually makes it problematic. And how do we know this? Because when Yaakov went to Lavan, if you remember, he says, "Venatan li lechem leechol ubeged lilbosh," and he gave to me bread to eat and clothing to wear. He's asking God, when I'm going to go down away from Israel, make sure that I still eat and drink and get clothes. He wasn't talking only about physical things, he was talking about spiritual things. We're going to see soon. Ve'ohev ger, latet, we're on page 4. Lo lechem vesimla. It says God loves the convert to provide him with bread and clothing. Upiresh Ramban, the Ramban explained why specifically bread and clothing, because that's what all the person needs. Person needs bread and clothing, and neshama needs bread and clothing. But we need to understand what's the bread and clothing for the neshama. וכמו שלחיי הגוף זקוק האדם למזונות ולבושים, כן הוא גם בחיי הרוחניים. Just like physicality you need it in spirituality. אשר זקוק הוא למזון ולבוש רוחניים. A person needs food and garments which are spiritual. How? So that he can attach himself to God with it. He can attach himself to life. Without spiritual food and clothing, a person will not be able to attach to God. He will die. And a dying means disattachment from life, disattachment from God. So the soul, in order to remain alive, in order to remain attached to God, needs to eat and be clothed. ויובן עניין מזון בחיים רוחניים, הדרך עניינם בחיים הגשמיים. And we're going to see that it's an exact analogy. דהנה המזונות נותנים חיות וכוח לאדם. The food gives the person energy, gives him life. על ידי שאוכל או שותה מאכל ומשקה, when he eats and drink it, נהפכים בקרבו להיות דם ובשר כבשרו. They become his own flesh and blood. The food that you eat becomes your flesh, becomes you, becomes your energy, becomes your power source. ומתאחדים עמו בתכלית. They become one with him. In other words, a person who eats only cows, that's all he eats, doesn't eat any vegetables, he is a cow. After 20 years of eating, what is he? He is a cow turned human. That's what he is. Right? The cow became him. מה שאין כן, this is when we're talking about food. What about a garment? מה שאין כן הלבוש שהוא מקיף את גוף האדם. The garment, you sometimes take off, sometimes put on. It protects you from heat, from cold. אבל דבר הוא בפני עצמו ואינו מתאחד עם האדם. It's not part of you. It's a garment. It's not me. וככל הדברים האלו הוא חילוק העיקרות בין תורה למצווה. So now we're going to see, this is the difference between learning Torah and performing commandments. The Talmud Torah says, what do we do when we learn Torah? עניינו הוא להבין ולהשיג הסוגיה שלומד, is to understand, to internalize the message, the intellect of God, to make the intellect of God your intellect. עד שנתפסת בשכלו, until you started thinking exactly like what God is thinking. ומתאחדת עמו ויולחדים. In other words, the way God thinks is the way you think. That's what learning Torah is. Let's learn it from the Tanya. כי כמו שהלכת הגשמי זם את הגוף, just like the physical bread gives life to the body, כשמכניסו בתוכו וכבו ממש. Remember, after Yom Kippur, you completely, like this, after 14 hours of no food, we all like, we have no energy. All of a sudden we eat, we become alive again. This is what food does. This is what Torah does to the person, to the neshama. When a person learns Torah, the neshama gets energy, becomes alive. The source of the Torah. ונהפך שם להיות דם ובשר כבשרו. It becomes blood and flesh. ואזי יחיה ויתקיים. Then the bread gives the energy to the person. So does the Torah give the energy to the one who learns it. You can see a person that does mitzvahs and doesn't learn Torah, you can see he continues to do mitzvahs, but he's dry with them. He doesn't have energy with them. A person just coming to class once in a while, you can see is a different person than a person who does Torah and mitzvahs every day. It's a completely different thing. כך בידיעת התורה והשגתה בנפש האדם שלומדה היטב. When a person learns Torah, understands it, internalize it, בעניין שכלו עד שנתפשט בשכלו ובתחילו, when he becomes one with the person, והיו, until they become לאחדים ממש, one exactly, נעשה מזון לנפש, it becomes food for the soul, וחיים בקרבה מחיי החיים, אין סוף ברוך הוא המלובש בחוכמתו והתורה שבקרבה. In other words, it's the energy of the person, learning Torah. וזה שנאמר בתורה, and the Rebbe continues, this is what it says in the Torah, ותורתך בתוך מעי. And you can see how exactly this is from Tehillim. King David says, your Torah is inside my stomach. It's exact analogy to food, because it becomes one with you. Yeah? ונמשלה התורה למים, יין, חלב, לחם ובשר, and the Torah is analogized to wine, to water, to milk, to bread, to flesh, all the things. Because you consume it, you become one with it, and it gives you energy. מה שאין כן במצוות. But when it comes to commandments, it doesn't work this way. שאין שייך בהם התאחדות כזו עם האדם. The commandments do not become you. A person can put on tefillin every day for 50 years, and go out and be a low life. Yeah? It's very hard to be a low life if you learn every day. If a person learns every day, you go out, it's harder to be a low life than just putting on tefillin. Tefillin doesn't change you. It doesn't become one with you. ואדרבה, שלימות קיומם הוא כשעושה המצווה במדש כזה. And commandments actually is the opposite. The real commandment is done when you do the commandment because the king said so, not because you understood. It's a commandment. What's a commandment mean? He commanded me, and I do. That's a commandment. I'm the soldier, he's the king. I'm not here to think. I'm here to carry out the decree. If I understand, it's better. Yeah? But the commandment, but it's also lacking something, if you understand. What is it lacking? I'm never sure why you're doing it now. Are you doing it because you understand, or are you doing it because the king commanded? So the commandment, when you say commandment, it means the king commanded, I do. ולא מפני שתם המצווה ישר בלעד. Not because I understand it's the right thing, I command because he did it.
Humility.
You also don't know if he does it because of fear of God or because of love of God. The mitzvah is to love God, but the mitzvah could be bracha and shalom. There are punishments if you don't, so.
ולכן נקראו המצוות לבושים. This is why we call the commandments garments. וכמו שנאמר, just like it says, ויהושע, this is a verse from Zechariah, ויהושע היה לבוש בגדים צויים, that Yehoshua was wearing dirty clothing. והסירו הבגדים הצויים מעליו, they removed the dirty clothing from upon him, ויאמר אליו, ראה, העברתי מעליך עוונך ואלבש אותך מחלצות. It says, look, I took away your sins and I dressed you with new clothing. ושם פירש רש"י, רש"י over there explains, לפי שדימה העוון לבגדים צויים. When a person sins, just like when you do a mitzvah, you put clean clothing. When you sin, you put dirty clothing. It's not you. You're just doing an act. You're perfection. You're a kid of God. But when you put a garment upon you, that's dirty. דימה זכויות למחלצות בגדים נאי לבלים. So when a person got nice clothing, this is a mitzvah. This is from Zechariah, וישוע היה לבוש בגדים צועים, ויאמר הסירו הבגדים הצועים מעליי. Page 6, ומפרשת המשנה טענותיהם. So on page 6, let's go together and try to understand the talit. זה אומר אני מצאתיה וזה אומר אני מצאתיה. We have two people over here that they both say this commandment, this garment, or this mitzvah is mine. 100% mine. Nothing to do with you. You had nothing to do with the mitzvah. If it was up to you, the mitzvah wouldn't get done. And the other guy says, if it was up to you, the mitzvah would. I did the whole mitzvah. That's the two people. Now, where can be such a thing? Let's learn. זה אומר כלה שלי וזה אומר כלה שלי. This one says the whole mitzvah is mine, and the other one says no, the whole mitzvah is mine. And here he brings the two viewpoints. Let's take a real rabbi, and a student. You have a rabbi and a student, two creatures, right? Dehine ha'adam yeh mi sheyeh. It says a person. It doesn't matter how lofty the person is, how refined he was born. I don't care. Af im hu matmid belimudo betivo. Even if he's a learner, from the moment he grew up, his mother remembers him. You know what this guy used to do? He used to learn the entire time. He used to read books. He used to do this. He used to try. He used to, all the time. He's a learner. ורח כקנה במידותיו בתולדתו. And his refined structure he is. He's kind. He's nice. He's helpful. From the moment he was born. הרי העיד עליו הכתוב, the Torah itself says about, in Iyov, it says that any person in the world, no matter whom, we're not talking about tzaddikim, talking about a person like us, Ir pere Adam yolad. Air pere Adam yolad. Every human being is like a wild donkey. It says, what does it mean like a wild donkey? He cares about himself. Yeah? He learns, why? Because he likes learning. He likes himself. It doesn't matter what you have. A person is born egotistical. And it says you have to. Why? Because God put it in every organism in the world. If a person is not egotistical, he won't be able to survive. You need to eat. You need to drink. You need to procreate. For that, you need money. You need women. You need to show that you're better than everybody else. It's an inherent quality that God put in every human being. And it doesn't matter how refined you are, the donkey in you is stronger than your refinement. So who is the one that takes the donkey away? So it says, Rak Rabo, his mentor, his rabbi. Hamadricho lalechet bederech tovim, the one who shows him the way to go, Mavio lechayei olam haba. He's the one who brings him to the world to come. In other words, it's true that he had all the qualities from beforehand, but he wouldn't have the right trainer if he would be born in some desert with no teachers. He wouldn't have gotten anywhere. So in other words, all the mitzvahs that the person does, the rabbi says in one manner, without me teaching you, if you would have been on your own, maybe you've been refined, but you wouldn't have came to that. It wouldn't have helped you to come to the world to come. וגם אחרי שכבר חונך וגדל בתורה ומעשים טובים, and you should know that even after many, many years, that this became a second nature to you, and you doing the right thing for many years, הודיענו חז"ל הבגלו למקום תורה. It says, even then, you're a sage. It says, as a sage is even, when you're a sage, it says, as a sage, don't stand in a town where there's no Talmidei Chachamim. Move to a place where there's other Torah scholars, because otherwise you're going to lose it. שחברך יקיימו בידך ועל בינתך אל תישן. You cannot learn on your own. You need a chevusa. You need other people around you. You need an environment. You cannot rely on your own. A person on his own we have a lot of examples in the Torah of some sages who tried to make it on their own and they weren't able to. וביד רמב"ם הלכות דעות כתב דרך בריתו של אדם להיות נמשך בדעתו ומעשיו אחריה וחבריו. It says a person is always gets attracted to the environment he's in. It says there's no way, if you're amongst sages, you'll act like the sages. If you're amongst low life, you'll act like low lives. Slowly, it will take you there. There's nothing you can do about it. No person in the world can control himself. Actually, one person in the world could, and his name was Avraham Avinu. It says Avraham, because he was the only one. That's why he's called Avraham on the other side. But we're not talking about people like Avraham, we're talking about people like us.
Did the prophets need to have a mentor or a life coach?
Yes, even the prophets, as we can say.
Because everybody needs a path, including the biggest one.
Yeah.
Because they have Hashem, but I mean,
But you cannot communicate directly with Hashem. Hashem is not your friend.
Yeah, they always have groups.
Let's look at source number 6. דרך בריאתו של אדם להיות נמשך בדעתיו ומעשיו. The nature of human is to be influenced in their opinions, in their actions. By אחריו וחבריו, after his friends, ונוהג כמנהג אנשי מדינתנו. And he goes around the culture of the people he lives around. לפיכך צריך אדם להתחבר לצדיקים. Therefore, even if you're refined, I don't care who you are, you need to get a group of friends who are righteous. ולשב אצל החכמים, to sit by the sages, כדי שילמד במעשיהם, so that you're going to learn from their acts. ויתרחק מן הרשעים, stay away from evil people, ההולכים בחושך, they walk in the darkness, כדי שילמד ממעשיהם. אוקיי. Why? Source number 7, האדם הוא מדיני בטיבו. A person is a social animal. No person can live on his own. Every person is a social animal. In Kabbalah, there's an analogy. I'm not going to say the analogy exactly like in the Gemara, in the Kabbalah. I'm going to say it close because I don't remember exactly the words, but this is what the meaning of it is. It says something very interesting. It says, King David, can you imagine King David with all the greatness that he has with King David? It says, King David with all the greatness. You're thinking Psalms, that King David, when he walks in the streets, all men that are in front of him are pretty much lowlives compared to him. They're like animals compared to him. Imagine a drunk in the gutter. There's a drunk in the gutter that pukes, and he sees King David walking past in a parade, right? And he goes to King David and he says, King David, I love you. He's drunk like that. Yeah? It says, I love you, man, that's right. It says whether he likes it or not, he gets happier because of that.
No?
Yeah. And such, why? Because a person, a human being, is a social animal. If other animals, even though it's an animal, this guy, he has no value towards him. Yeah? It helps. He's a social animal. I got his approval, I'm happy. That's a King David thing. Even in King David. So imagine us. Imagine, this is what the Kabbalah says, the example the Kabbalah says. So imagine us, how happy we are. Even when the low life telling us, I like you. Yeah?
But Trump is like that, not that he's King David, but he needs approval from
Everybody needs, not just Trump. Trump is on the edge, you know. Okay. So let's continue in our thing. ולכן שניים אוחזים בטלית, and therefore we have two people who are holding a talis. כי הן האדם עושה. Now the person who's doing the mitzvah is going to come up to heaven and is going to say, I did all these mitzvahs. I did the mitzvahs. Who did the mitzvahs? I did the mitzvah. I put in tefillin yesterday.
No.
Yeah? I'm going to come to heaven. I'm going to tell, there's a reward for tefillin, whatever the reward is. I'm going to
say your body put the tefillin.
Yeah, but the neshama gets reward. I'm going to say, I want the reward. And then the guy who, let's say, the person who brought me to Torah, let's give him a name, whatever it is going to say, excuse me, my mitzvah, not you. It's my Torah, not yours. It's my tefillin, not your tefillin. Without me, if you wouldn't have met me, but that's what he says. If you wouldn't have met me, we both know that what? You would have never put on tefillin. So in other words, so who put on the tefillin? Only me. Me, because I taught you, I'm putting on tefillin. And I'm saying, you're crazy. My energy. I'm putting on the tefillin. We both go to heaven, and we both want the reward in heaven. He says, all the reward is mine. And I say, all the reward is mine. And remember what we discussed in the beginning. It's not like an object. It's a connection to God over there. Nobody gives it up. Nobody gives it. Everybody wants the whole thing. So the person who does the mitzvah and his rabbi, כל אחד מהם טוען שלי הוא. Each one of them says, it's mine. The mitzvah is mine. וכמו שהוא בדרך כלל בכל אדם, ששניים מוחזים בטלית כנזכרת למעלה. Just like it is in every person, two people holding the same mitzvah. הנה גם בפרט, also in particulars. הרי לפעמים תכופות עושה האדם מצווה או לומד תורה, many times a person does a mitzvah or learns Torah, על ידי התעוררות סמוכה לפעולה הבאה. Because he's already he's doing something. You know, he's walking to shul. So he came to shul, he's going to daven. So he's davening, he's going to give tzedakah. So he gives tzedakah. Each one leads to the next. ואז טענת השני כולה שלי היא עוד ביותר, שאת מטענת זה שחינכו בנעוריו, כיוון שתוכחתו סיבה קרובה בזמן לפועל טוב הזה. It says, look, if you wouldn't have went to that yeshiva, and I wouldn't have sent you to that yeshiva, yeah, you would have never done it. You would have grown up to be a nice guy maybe, yeah? But all the commandments that you did are only because I influenced you. Yeah, I put you there. ובסוג זה צדיקים טענות שני הצדדים הם כולה שלי. So over here, both sides are saying the entire mitzvah belongs to me. כי עושה המצווה טוען שבעניין זה שהוא צדיק בו, לא הוכרח לכל מדריך ומוכיח, כי נמשך הוא מצד עצמו של המצווה. It says, look. The reason why I'm acting good in this particular field, because I put effort in it. I know who I am. I feel that without my effort, it wouldn't have been done. I know how hard it is to reach the level, to learn every day 6 hours of Torah, whatever it is. I put the effort. It wasn't easy. I wasn't born with it. Yes, maybe you showed me how, you taught me, you were an example, but who's doing the work? I'm doing the work. והמוררו מדריכו ומוכיחו טוען גם כן כולה שלי. And the rabbi says, yeah, without me, we both know you would have been, I don't know, maybe a successful lawyer, but none of the mitzvahs that you see over here would have taken place. כי הוא אומר, אשר לולא ההדרכה הנכונה, without me showing you the right way, או הוכחה בעיטה, or without me rebuking you when you needed a rebuke, בטח לא היה עוסק כי אם בצרכי גופו. You know what you would be busy doing? Making money, like most people. Because the body naturally cares about itself. That's the quality that God put into you. Yes, you would have been a nice lawyer, a non-lying lawyer. But you've been a lawyer, you wouldn't have been a lawyer, a guy that dedicates his entire life for the poor. That's not you've been. The only reason that you do that is because I gave you the education. כי גם אם מתמיד בלימודו, because even if you are a refined person, because you were born this way, by nature, אף על פי כן אוהב את גופו יותר מטיבו. Nevertheless, you like yourself more than you like the other guy. Everybody likes himself more than... Why should you dedicate your entire life to another person? It's just because of your education. It didn't come alone. It's just because I told you there's such a concept. Yeah? If I wouldn't have taught you there's such a concept, you wouldn't have done it. You've been a nice guy, you wouldn't have lied, you wouldn't have cheated, but you were taking care of yourself and not the other guy. וכיוצא בזה בקיום מצוות בסור מרע ועשה טוב. And you can learn it to the good or to the bad. The positive commandments and negative commandments. ואמרו רז"ל, the sages says, לעולם מדור אדם במקום רבו, a person should always live where his rabbi is because of this reason. Because without the rabbi, you think you would go the right way. On your own, you would never. שכל זמן, and says, and he brings an example from King Pharaoh. From King Shlomo. From King Solomon, he brings the example. שכל זמן ששמעי בן גרה, that the entire times that the teacher of Solomon, of King Shlomo, his name was Shimei ben Gera, as long as Shimei ben Gera was alive, לא נשא שלמה את בת פרעה. Shlomo did not marry the daughter of Paro. We're not going to get into this whole thing. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? But it was, on one level, it was a good thing, another thing, it was a bad thing. But the only reason why it happened, the bad stuff in it, is because his master, his rabbi, died. If his rabbi was alive, he would have never done the act. Yeah? He was never married the daughter of Paro. אף שהיה שלמה גדול העולם. Even if everybody knows, Shlomo was the wisest of all men. What are you talking about? Yeah?
The influence of the Rav.
Oh, so in other words, the whole behavior of Shlomo is not because he was the wisest of all men. It's because the master, and that's what the master says. Look, as soon as I died, look what you did. So, in other words, if I wasn't there from the beginning, you would have done all the wrong things. Not just that. Because if you don't have direction, by nature, you're going to go to do the wrong thing. Okay. Source number 9 in Talmud. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Ami mishmo shel Ula, Rabbi Chia bar Ami said in the name of Ula, Le'olam yadur adam b'makom rabo, you should for always live with your rabbi, shal yedei kach imane me'averot, because by that you're not going to come to sin. Sheken motzim anu shekol zman sheshmi ben Gera, we see that the entire time that Shimi ben Gera haya kayam, was alive, lo nasa Shlomo et bat Paro, Shlomo did not marry the daughter of Paro. רק לאחר שמסופר על המתת שימי, only when they killed שימי, מסופר על נישואי שלמה לבת פרעה. It tells us that Shlomo married the daughter of Paro. Page number 9. והפסק הזה, so now we need to understand. So we have two people, both arguing, the mitzvah that you did, who do they belong to? Do they belong to the master or do they belong to the doer? So now let's see, what is the decision up there? The decision up there in heaven. So it's exactly the same decision is down here. Zei shava vezei shava. Each one needs to make an oath that I gave you at least half. I gave you no less than half. Yeah? If each one makes such an oath, then they both get half. This one gets half, and this gets 1/2. Says, yeah? So they come, they say, they all mine. Yeah? All mine. If one is not willing to take an oath, the other one's going to take the whole thing. Right?
And there is some kind of a problem here, because you can tell a guy, listen, do tefillin every day and you can teach him. And he's not going to do it. So
then you cannot claim it's all mine. So you cannot claim it's all mine.
So when the guy goes and he does it, how can you claim half of it?
We're not talking about. We're not talking about. We're not. Yeah, we're not talking about. Yeah, yeah. We're not.
How can you claim half even?
Yeah, so I'll explain to you. We're not talking about me and you. We're not talking about that kind of relationship. Think about Rabbi Akiva, yeah, or think about Shmaya. Yeah, I'll explain. Shmaya and Avtalion and Hillel and Shammai, the teachers of Hillel and Shammai. Yeah, without Shmaya and Avtalion, Hillel and Shammai wouldn't have been Hillel and Shammai. The only reason you know who Hillel is because Shmaya lived before him. If another sage would be there, Hillel wouldn't be Hillel, Shammai wouldn't be Shammai. So when Hillel goes up to heaven, Shmaya says, you know who made Hillel? I made Hillel. I made Hillel. I made it. Because no other person in the world would have been able to make the Hillel that you see over here. It's mine. Yeah, we're not talking about a suggestion. We're talking about a true Rav and Talmud. Yeah?
But as a concept, I don't understand it as a concept. Because as a concept, if I look at it as a concept, that the guy really, just you tell somebody, light candle every Shabbos, and she doesn't, she light candle. Now you come to heaven, you say, that's my mitzvah. But she was working on it to light the candle.
Why are you punished on your son's behavior until he was 13?
Why you get punished? Because he doesn't have...
No, but why are you punished?
Oh, because I have responsibility.
You have control?
No. Son.
If you went there, you will get... You have fool. That's why you get punished. So think about that. Since you have the power to influence his life, a rabbi has the power to influence a kid's life like you have the power to influence a child's life. Yeah, it's there. You're the power. You everything. The whole thing. Okay, better? Okay. והוא כעניין השבועה כפשוטו הוא. And this is what we're talking an oath. אשר במקום שיש חשש שאומר שקר. Over here we're worried. I know that the master feels it's all mine. I gave you the education. Like the teacher of Hillel says, you know why you Hillel? The only reason why you Hillel is because you came to my yeshiva. Otherwise, you've been a sage, but you wouldn't have been Hillel. Hillel, you wouldn't have been. Think about it like, you know what? If you want to do it in extreme level, I'll give you an extreme level. Then you'll agree with the other side. Think about Moshe. Yeah? God telling him, the only reason you're Moshe because I taught you on Mount Sinai. What do you think? Or your knowledge came because you're a good student? I taught you. That's why you were Moshe. Yeah? In other words, did anything come from you? No. I could have used it anybody else. I could have taken anybody else and made him a Moshe. Yeah. Okay? That's the idea.
Well,
Yeah.
the question I've had the whole time though is, isn't it that Hashem who does all good things?
This is exactly the debate. Is Hashem, is the master who doing it, or are we doing it also? This is the debate. This is exactly our question over here. Okay? So over here, the master, Hillel, the master is saying, it's all mine. I did the whole thing. I created this being. You have a question?
הוא אומר, המעשה הוא העיקר. הבן אדם שעושה אותו, זה העיקר.
I made you do it. I made you do it. I made you do it. Why is Moshe Moshe? Because Moshe is Moshe, because Hashem taught him on Mount Sinai. Hashem made him Moshe. Yeah, that's an extreme case. None of these cases is Moshe and Hashem. Yeah? But you can see the truth is somewhere in between. Yeah, you can see. That's where the truth is. That's right. Yeah. ואינו נרתע מהאיסור אשר בזה. הרי על ידי זה אשר יטילו עליו שבועה יודע על האמת, ולא יהיה נשבע לשקר. So it says, yes, you're going to come to heaven. Even in heaven, they're both saying, the mitzvah is mine. God, I want this mitzvah in heaven. The master and the student come to heaven. They both want the mitzvah. So God tells them, how much are you willing to give an oath that it's only yours? That this mitzvah is only yours. And then it says, remember, when you make an oath, it's a serious thing. It's not just making an oath. Remember the serious. You have to be 100% sure. You can, and over here you can see, you cannot be 100% sure. You can only be that at least half I know I did. I know that without me it wouldn't have happened. Yeah, that okay. If he put something in or not put something in, debatable. Me personally, I think it's not debatable, but I will not take an oath on it. I will take an oath that I influenced it, not if he put the work or not put the work. And the guy says, I think without the master I would have made it anyway. Yeah, I would have been a righteous person anyway. Even without the master I would have been righteous. But on my work, because I remember how hard it was for me to work.
So God and Moshe is clear. But what about Aaron? Aaron said, without me, Moshe couldn't have done the job. God said, he'll help you out.
Uh-huh.
So can Aaron claim a piece of Moshe's merit?
Yes, according to this, I don't think Aaron will stand and he say it's all of mine. All of it is mine. Aaron will say maybe 25% is mine, or 10%, or 5%. And even that Moshe will argue on. Moshe will say, the whole thing is only me. Yeah? כי שבועה חמורה היא, like we said, it's a real oath. וכמו שאמרו חז"ל בשבועות בריחות. ונמצא שעל ידי השבועה נתעוררת אצלו יראת שמיים. So what does the oath do? The oath brings the person into a level of awe of heaven, fear of heaven. ויראת חטא, and a person being afraid to sin. ובמילא ניצון גם מעוון הקל. And he's going to take himself away from sin. ולכן אמרו רז"ל, and this is why the sages says, שנשבעים לקיים את המצווה. There's a concept, there are some commandments, and you're allowed to make an oath that I'm allowed, for example, to make an oath that I'm going to put on tefillin tomorrow. It says nobody should do that. You should put on tefillin without an oath. But I'm allowed to make an oath I'm going to put tefillin tomorrow. For example, if a person has been trying to put on tefillin every day, and he notices that every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, he misses one day. So he says, in such a case, what happens? He's allowed to make an oath even on a mitzvah. Because what does the oath do? Let's see. אם ירא שהתקפהו יצרו ויעבור על איזה מצווה ומצוות לא תעשה, If he sees that once in his life, in a while, devil inclination is stronger than him, and he's not able to perform a specific commandment, or יתרשל מקיום מצוות עשה, or he doesn't, either he's transgressing a negative commandment, or he's not doing a positive commandment, so he's allowed to take an oath. Let's look at source number 10. האומר, the one that says, אשנה פרק זה, he says, I'm going to take upon myself to learn Torah every day. וירא שמא יתרשל בדבר. But he knows, I've been making a promise for many years, and I say I'm going to learn Torah every day, but it doesn't happen. שרי לה למין דר לזרוז, she is allowed to take an oath. וכן אם יראה שיתקוף יתרו ויעבור על זה מצווה, and also if he sees that he has a problem with women, for example, he goes to bars, gets drunk, and he forgets about his wife, for example. Yeah? על איזו מצווה, he forgets a specific commandment, page number 10, ממצוות לא תעשה, או יתרשל מקיום מצווה לעשה, מצווה להישבע לנדוג, he's allowed to take an oath, I'm never going to bars again. He knows, now I took an oath, it's going to make me stronger. מי שנדר נדרים כדי לכונן דעותיו ולתקן מעשיו, הרי זה ריזום משובח. Somebody who makes oath, it is good thing. Practically in halacha we don't make oath. Just by the way, this is just a Gemara. Practically in halacha, don't make oath. Unless you ask a rabbi. If you want to make an oath, consult with a rabbi. You do not make oath on your own. כיצד, for example, מי שהיה זולל ואסר עליו הבשר, somebody who loves food, eats non-stop, he says, you know what, no more meat for me. That's it. So he says, no more meat for 1 year or 2 years, או שהיה שוגה ביין, or he used to get drunk all the time, אסר היין על עצמו זמן מרובה, it says, you know what, 6 months, no more wine, או אסר השכרות לעולם, או like a nazir, says, no more wine forever, וכן מי שהיה רודף שלמונים, somebody likes, he's a שופט, a judge, and people are nice to him all the time. Wow. You know, people are nice to him. They give him presents. They give him vacations. They give him all kinds of things. You know, and he enjoys the things. You know, nivhal lahon. He likes money. Asar al atzmo matanot. He says, you know what? From now on, I don't get any present, even allowed ones. No presents. Guy gives you a pen. I don't take it. Here, your pen back. I don't care what. Derech avodah la'asher. He says, a person is allowed to do it. It's the service of God. How? כי על ידי השבועה מתעוררים כוחות יותר פנימיים באדם. Through the oath, a person awakens deeper powers in his soul. החשוב כולם מלא, כמו שמצינו שנזדעזע העולם כולו בשעה שנאמר, לא תישא את השם לקריך לשווא. Just like we see how it is, if a person takes God's name in vain, that the entire world trembles, the entire being of the person trembles. וגם כאן בדין המשנה, הבירור הוא על ידי שנשבעים. It's over here we're going to see, they're going to go down deep inside into a level of iras shamayim, and that's how they're going to make the oath. Let's see how. כי כדי לדעת, and this is going to answer your question also, Aryeh, how do you know if I told somebody something, he did it because of me or because of him? I told him, so what? I educated him. He comes to classes, and I'm his rabbi. He comes to me all the time. How do I know if it's me or him? כי כדי לדעת אם פעלה ההדרכה או התוכחה שיעשה המצווה, in order for me to know if it's me that caused the mitzvah, or it's because of my rebuke he's staying away from sin, הוא על ידי בחינה, is through checking it. How? אם הייתה תוכחה באופן הנרצה. It's simple. Was the rebuke the right way? Was it done the right way? And what do you mean, was it done the right way? היינו, שבאה מקרב נפשו פנימה של המוכיח. Did it come from your innards, or did it come from your outwards? What does it mean? Did it affect you in your soul when you gave the advice? Or it did you put your soul in it? Did it come from the soul, or was it out of anger? What are you doing this? You idiot, stop doing that. Yeah? Or you're disattaching yourself from God. You see the two ways? One way You tell the kid, idiot, how can you do that? The other way, he sees it like you devastated. It's like, this is how you know. And you know by yourself, when you rebuked him, how you rebuked him. A person knows by himself. He might lie before he takes the oath up there. No. I rebuked him the right way. You willing to take an oath? I don't know about taking an oath. Not so quick. ולא מחמת שנאה, not because I got angry or I hate you. וכרמז סמוכים דקרא, לא תשנא הוכח תוכיח ואהבת לרעך. Next to, do not hate את אחיך בלבבך, there's a commandment. Do not hate, it says you should rebuke him and you should love him like yourself. In other words, if you go deep down inside, you know if the rebuke came out of for him or just because of for your anger. It's two different things. Page number 11. וגם שלא הוכיחו לראשונה ברבים, and also, like we know, the right way to critique somebody is never when there's other people around. It can never be a good way to rebuke somebody when there's another person around. You don't rebuke. You don't say negative. You don't give advice when there's other people. You want to give advice to a person, yeah? You take him aside. A child and an adult, it doesn't matter. You don't give advice to anybody when there's other people around.
So when people make a mistake in reading the Torah and somebody yells the correct way from behind.
It depends how you do it. It depends how you do it. Are you concerned? Are you?
agree it's a no-no.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah.
You have to whisper, the Gabbai.
You don't have to whisper all the time. So sometimes you can say it's all in the message. How you give it. Do you give it out of love or do you give it out of things?
Give it out of love, but there are 100 people.
Are you making?
embarrassing
When you just say that give it out of love, are you willing to give an oath that you're giving out of love? That's how we measure it. If you're willing to give an oath, to take an oath, it was out of love, then you can shout it. If you're not willing to take an oath, then don't shout it. Say it nicely. Yeah? ובתוכחתו, and then it says, yeah, you have to, but in a nice way. ובתוכחתו, and when you rebuked somebody, you have to do it in such a way, and דוחו אותו בשתי ידיים. Even when you rebuke, even it's only between you and him. How do you do it? You never do it forcefully. In other words, you rebuke from love, not with both hands. שאם לא נזהר מזה, because you're not going to be careful in this, הרי התוכחה אינה פועלת פעולה. You can try. You can try to rebuke not out of love, and you're going to notice that it doesn't work. That's right, it's getting what we're going to say. Yeah? It's not going to work. There's no rebuke without love that works. The only way to rebuke somebody is if you feel the love, not the anger. If you feel the anger, don't rebuke. Don't say anything.
No, but it doesn't have to be love. Give you example.
One second. I'll let you talk.
They have no knowledge that squeezing happened. There's water in the shul on Shabbat. You take it and you squeeze it. Now, quietly you rebuke, not out of love, because somebody made a mistake, did an avodah on Shabbat. I don't love this person. I'm just trying to help.
So I'll give you an example. So if you didn't do it out of love, most probably it's not going to be accepted by him. The more out of love it is, the more accepted it will be. Yes?
Yeah, but it's lack of knowledge.
It's okay, but you still need to do it out of love. Yeah.
Prefer.
Yeah.
So the difference between rebuking somebody and correcting somebody.
Very good. I like it.
Or the person he's talking about in shul. You're not rebuking him. I mean, for doing, he's correcting. He's not rebuking
But you are to rebuke.
Let me give.
or correct.
Yeah.
The difference between correcting and rebuking.
I'm going to give it. Yeah. Guys, well, I'm going to give a nice example. Imagine on Shabbat, right? A person comes out over here, comes from the street with a nice suit and everything, comes in here to the middle of the floor, takes his pants down, and makes a dump right over here. What are we all going to say? Idiot! What are you doing? Get out of here! What's the thing? Right? That's what you're going to say. Imagine, same story. Same story. Somebody's baby, your baby, 3-month-old, came to shul, and he makes a dump. Same place. Same thing. He took out, you didn't notice, he's running around. The way you wipe the doo-doo is out of love. There's two ways. So it says, when the truth is that the guy that comes with the suit down here, if you're going to scream at him, you idiot, you this, you didn't affect him. If you come over to him and you say, what happened? You kiss him. How can you do such a thing? With the same love you do to the baby, it's going to have an effect on the person. Rebuke out of hate, out of anger, doesn't do anything. Think about that, Marshall. Yeah. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, let's continue, we don't have much time. לעולם תהא שמאל דוחה וימין מקרבת. Should always be the left hand, the weak hand, should be used to repel, and the right hand should be used to bring closer. Not like Elisha, שדחפו לגחזי בשתי ידיו. I'm not going to go through the whole story of Elisha Gihzi, we're short of time, but Elisha pushed away Gihzi with both hands. אמר רבי יצחק, it says, באותו שעה היה אלישע עוסק ב8 שרצים. There was a time that Elisha was learning about 8 rodents. אמר לו, רשע הגיע עת ליטול שכר 8 שרצים, וצרת נעמן תדבק בך, ובזרעך לעולם. And he cursed Gihzi, not only him, he cursed him with leprosy, which leprosy was a very bad disease. It took you away from Jewish society. It isolated you. And it says not only you, your sons and your grandsons are going to get this leprosy. In other words, he completely cursed him in such a way like, you're out of here. Don't want nothing to do with you. ויבוא אלישע לדמשק. Then Elisha came to Damascus. למה הלך? Why did he come to Damascus? אמר רבי יוחנן שהלך להחזיק לכסיב שלו. So Gehazi started to go crazy. He started doing things that no human being could even think about. So Elisha says, look, I realize I pushed him away too much. Let's go back and bring him closer to do tshuva. ולא חזר, but he pushed him away in the beginning to such a degree that Gehazi never returned. אמר לו חזור בך. He says, return. אמר לו, כך מקובלני ממך. He says, I cannot return, because you taught me that it's not going to happen. כי מי שחטא והחטיא את הרבים, אין מספיקים בידו לעשות תשובה. You taught me that somebody who sinned can do tshuva. But somebody who sinned and made other people sin, there's no tshuva for him. Because it's not only he sinned, his act, just like we learned, his sin now goes also on them. Yeah? אבל אם איש המוכיח טוען כולה שלי, but if the man who rebukes says, I rebuked with a full heart, everything came from the inside, ונשבע על זה, and is willing to take an oath. In other words, he knows for sure that 100% of what he said, of the rebuke, came from inner, came of love, came of I want good for you, and I want good for God, and I want good for the community. That's why the rebuke came from. שזהו ראה שנוגע לו הדבר בפנימיות נפשו. It shows that this is his inner being. הרי דברים היוצאים מהלב, things that go out of the real heart, המוכיח בוודאי נכנסו אליו השומע. It is impossible, and by the way, this is the reason, this is the rule. If you didn't reach somebody's heart, it's because you don't love him. That's it. Don't say I do love him. You don't. If you really would have loved him, it's guaranteed that the rebuke out of love would always 100% come to the guy's heart, would influence somebody. If a person sees that you are really out of your love doing it, he has to change. וכמאמר רז"ל, just like the sage says, כל אדם שיש בו יראת שמיים, דבריו נשמעים. Everybody, every person that has the fear of heavens, his words are going to be heard. This is my wife. Every time I argue with my wife, that's what she tells me. she does. לא ג'וק. ובוודאי פעלה התוכחה שלו, ויש לו חלק בטלית. And for sure, he has a part in the talis. He knows by himself. I gave me away. וכן השני, המקיים המצווה בפועל. And also the other, the guy who actually did the mitzvah. צריך להישבע. He needs to make an oath that it's not the other guy's education that did it. I know that the energy to do the mitzvah came from my love, from me. I put everything of me in it. If he cannot do that, he doesn't get the reward. So when you go to heaven and you're not sure that your mitzvahs came out of your energy, you think it might have came out of the Rav's energy, you're not going to get a reward for it. You need to make an oath of how much percentage are you sure that you put, and it's not the Rav's. Yeah? So it goes both on the Rav and on the student. And many students, if you ask me, how much did you put and how much was your education? The truth is, I can tell you, but I'm not going to make the same oath I would do in the argument. Let's put it this way. שזהו ראה שלא הייתה תורתו מן השפה לחוץ. In other words, I didn't just do it as an act. It was actually from my innards I did the mitzvah. והדרך זה במצוות. כי אז אין לו חלק בטלית זו, because if you cannot make an oath that I did it with my own, it's not just education, it's actually me, you're not going to get part of the mitzvah up there in heaven. שאין התורה והמצוות מגינים עליו, then your Torah and mitzvahs are not going to protect you up there in heavens. If you didn't put the effort down here, and you're going to be willing to make the oath up there, that you did put the effort, you're not getting it up there. וכמו שזהו פעולת הלבושים, this is what the garments in heaven do, protect you. וכמו שכתוב בתוספות, דיבור המתחיל, כל ודואג אחיתופל דלא מגני להו, בתורתן, לפי שלא הייתה להם מירה כלל. It says, but דואג and אחיתופל, that they came to heaven, the clothing, the Torah that they learned did not protect them from the Gehenom. Gehenom, yeah, the hell as it is the power of the sun. Or the power of God over there. That's what burns. So it says the Torah or the mitzvahs that you did protect you. So it says Dog and Achitopel, it didn't protect them. Why? Because it wasn't theirs. All the learning Torah and all the doing mitzvahs was an outside force. It wasn't really theirs. It was there because of their master, because of their education, because of the environment. But they were low lives and they never put any energy in it. Okay, so compared to other people in the world, maybe they acted nicely part of the time. But not entirely. ואמרו תכלית חוכמת תשובה ומעשים טובים. And it says the ultimate is תשובה and good deeds. עיקרה של תורה שיהיה עמה תשובה ומעשים טובים. The main part of the Torah is תשובה and good deeds. פירוש רש"י. הוא מפרש בש"ס תוצאות הלימוד. אם אינו באופן כזה, if you don't learn Torah in such a manner that it's an inner part, you've done it with your whole soul, שלא יהיה אדם קורא ושונה ובעת באביו ובנה ברבו. In other words, it has to be from your inner. אבל אם נשבע שיש לו חלק בטלית, but if you're willing to take an oath, you know what, maybe I don't have 50%, but I have 2%, you're going to get 2%. Whatever you're willing to give an oath, that's what you're going to get. If the master is willing to give an oath of more, he's going to get more. You less, and the opposite. Each one to his own. היינו שבפנימיות נפשו נגע לימוד התורה וקיום מצוות. In other words, I really yearned to learn Torah. It really came from my being. I was feeling that if I'm not going to learn Torah, I'm going to be disattached to God. If that's why you're learning Torah, good, you're going to get some. If that's not why you're learning Torah and you're still learning Torah, it's not because of you. It's because that's the environment you grew up. It's your friends, it's your teachers, it's the environment you grew up. They're going to get the reward and not you. הרי מלבד שעבודתו היא עבודה שלמה, so if a person is willing to take an oath, הנה זה משמש ראיה שלא רק מפני התעוררות הבאה מחוץ לעשה מצווה. It's also a proof that it's not only because of your environment, because of your rabbis, you did the mitzvah. You did the mitzvah because you were yearning for it. ולכן יחלוקו, and this is why we divide it. כי ההשתתפות שניהם יש כאן וזה וזה גורם. Because over here, the truth is, the most probably the perfect way it is that each one gives 50%. That's the ultimate being. Yeah? The question is, in most cases, this master will not be able to make an oath that he gave 50% down to it. And in most cases, the student, for sure, will not be willing to give an oath that he gave at least 50%. He might give an oath, you know what, I gave 2% or 5%. You know, each one is going to give whatever. So whatever oath you're willing to get, to make an oath on, that's what you get.